Hi, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne, and welcome to the show. Today, I have in the studio with me for the very first time, I should say not Miss, Dr. Dr. Jennifer Herring. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm really excited to have you on the show. So you were on Black in Business, which is a
Yes.
show that I host on Unity Radio, and we had such a good time. We're like, we're gonna have get you on this other show, and this girl is busy, okay?
Very.
but all good stuff, and we're gonna get to talk about a little bit about what she does and why her time is in such high demand, during the hour. But first, I want to say thank you to all our loyal viewers and subscribers for tuning in week after week. I appreciate you. And to our executive producer and photographer extraordinaire, Paul Anderson, thank you for making the magic happen every week. I am so excited. We are in April. So the show will run again from April to May to June. And then we take the summer month off because a girl needs a vacation.
Yeah.
And then we come back brand new in the fall. But again, if you want to be on the show, if you desire to be on the show, you know the content of the show. And, if you want to recommend somebody, don't forget to hit me up at Suzanne at positivelysuzanne.com. So I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
All right. So welcome to the show, Doctor. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Busy. How are you?
I am so good. I am so good. But can we take a moment, just Black excellence over there? Girl, you're doing the thing.
Thank you. You too.
You're doing the thing.
I follow you on all the socials. I watch you. And you too. You.
I watch you, girl.
Thank you.
Doing the thing, girl.
Thank you.
Doing the thing. Part of the 92%.
I try. I try.
Yes.
Whatever we can do. I think it's so important because, one of the things I've been thinking about is our theme this year for WEC is literacy as liberation. And when I think about literacy, I think about how there's so many non-traditional ways that can be exemplified, not just reading and writing, but it's like our speakers, our podcasters, our bloggers. And so I'm just trying to make those connections and get the word out and make sure that we're inspiring young minds to read and enjoy, communicating, whether it be verbally, written, in music, and all the things.
All right, wonderful. Well, you dived right into it. You mentioned WEC. So she is the new, it's almost a year, right?
Yeah,
almost a year executive director of WEC,
Yes.
Worcester Education Collaborative.
Yep.
And so let's talk a little bit about what is WEC, where is
Sure.
WEC located, and what is it that, you do?
Yes. So Worcester Education Collaborative is in Worcester. We are the critical friend of the Worcester Public Schools. And what we do is we work closely with Worcester Public Schools to ensure increased outcomes for all students. So we do that through advocacy. We do that through convenings. We host a series of meetings and events throughout the year that are our WEC signature events that really educate the community about what's happening in education, how to get involved, and how to support the growth and increase of outcomes for students in Worcester.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And, and if you haven't caught the episode that I chatted with her on Black in Business, tune in there and watch it.
Yeah.
But we talked about just some of the initiatives that you guys have been able to do. And,
Yes.
Actual creating policies have gone to the State House and advocated for our kids and just really to ensure that they have a quality education.
Yes, absolutely. So last September, we were part of Massachusetts Educators for Equity Partnership Coalition, and we all went to the State House and advocated for the passing of the literacy bill called the Right to Read, and it ensures high quality instructional materials for students across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So what that means is that was a huge win for us in last year, 2025, and we get to use the passing of that legislation to hold our community partners accountable, as well as our educators, to make sure that we're doing the best we can to ensure that all kids are leaving our school system literate and reading at grade level, and able not even just literacy, but numeracy. There are a lot of conversations about financial literacy, how students are moving in the real world when it comes to even being a cashier at a retail store or opening up a bank account. So we're excited and we're proud to be part of that work. So,
All right,
yeah.
wonderful. And WEC has been making some moves, and I mean, you have heard what it means.
Yeah,
Has
yeah.
been making some moves in the community and certainly done some things. I had the pleasure of popping in the other day to you guys' Principal for a Day event. You have the
Yes.
Woosah event coming up. So let's talk
Yes.
about the Principal for a Day, what that is, because I know it's an annual thing.
Yes, so Principal for a Day is an opportunity for leaders in the community, legislators, educators, business leaders to come to a Worcester Public School building, shadow a principal, and see what it's like to be a Worcester Public Schools principal. And
Mm.
so after the tours, we all meet at a central location. This year, we were at Worcester Technical High School
Mm-hmm.
to have a luncheon and hear more about the state of our schools and
Mm.
how we can help support the growth of student learning. This year, our keynote speaker was Kiana James, who works she's a director for Senator Kennedy's office. And she just talked about all of the progress we've made and all the things we're seeing, all of the budgetary concerns and things we need to just be aware of. And so that was an awesome event.
Mm-hmm.
And then WUSA is actually the first time we're hosting it.
Yeah.
It's WUSA, stands for Worcester's Stories of Adversity and Healing. And it's a time for everyone who's involved in education and youth development to come and learn about how trauma impacts learning and how we as a community can start to create some systems and some interventions and infrastructures to really think more broadly and strategically about how we can educate students in Worcester. We'll be having a keynote speaker who is very close to the work, Dr. Heather Forkey, a medical pediatrician who works very closely with students who are engaged in the foster care system. We'll also, one of our breakout sessions will be with Citizens for Juvenile Justice, and they do a lot of work with students who are involved in juvenile justice as well. We also have representation from Worcester Public Schools, City of Worcester Division of Youth, and many of our youth-serving nonprofit organizations as well. So I'm
Wonderful.
super excited about it.
Yes, it sounds incredible and
Yes.
informative. So no, really, congratulations! It's the inaugural, the
you.
first event. You seems like you have some heavy hitter there, and you really have a strategy to educate, empower, and to ensure that you're out there advocating for folks and letting the community know like this is what we do. And to any
Absolutely.
funders that are listening, anybody like any millionaires with somebody
Yes,
in
thank
their
you.
pocket, because let me tell you, an educated society is powerful.
Yes,
And we've got to
absolutely.
ensure, our kids are coming out of school with like the basic skill. And,
Yes.
actually, one of the things you said in the beginning was literacy as liberation, right?
Yeah.
I find that, when you're literate, when you can read, you have this confidence, you have this
Yes.
power.
Absolutely.
We went to 2 different countries last year and the language was in English and it's challenging,
Yeah.
so I can't imagine not being able to read and being out there. Thank God for Google Lens, right?
Yeah.
Like I stuck it on there and Italian turned into English and French turned into,
Yeah.
but can you imagine not being literate and that's your everyday life?
Yeah.
Just being in a space and seeing something that you cannot read.
Yeah.
So we got to take care of our kids.
Absolutely. And I think there's an old saying, I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's in the Native American tradition, when greeting, when folks greet each other, they don't say, "Hey, how are you? How you doing?" They greet by saying, "How are the children?"
Wow.
And so that, for me,
Wow.
that's constantly at the back of my mind because in their culture, they know, the children are the foundation and the heartbeat of the community and the culture, right? So if the children are not well, then we're not well, and our future is not well.
Okay.
And so one of the things I like to focus on too with WEC is really making the connection for our community members around student literacy, workforce development, and then economic development. Why is it important? Like, why should you care that children should be reading at grade level? And so it's constant, it's cyclical. It's thinking about, are the children okay? If they're not, let's talk about it. What can we do about it? And then folks that are not as close to the education work, how do we bring them into the conversation and let them know how they should care and why they should care? And then it's a cycle. So that's what we do.
All right, wonderful. And you also host equity roundtables.
Yes.
Like there's so many things. That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
it's
The
a lot.
guy is busy doing some incredible stuff. So
Thank
how
you.
did the equity roundtables come about?
So the Equity Roundtable has been around, I would say maybe the past few years. And the purpose of it is to have a monthly conversation that is intentional with community members who are closest to the work of teaching and learning, education, and youth development to strategize around equity and trauma-informed practices. So I will say the last few meetings, our topics range from, we had a panel from QCC come in to talk about readiness for higher education upon graduation from Worcester Public Schools. We've had keynote speakers from all, many different organizations that work closely with youth to talk about what they do and how we could all potentially collaborate. We've also had oh my goodness, we've had listening sessions. We're in the midst of writing the next 3-year iteration of our strategic plan. So one of the things I love to do is hear from the community and say, what has been your experience with WEC and how can we improve our practice moving forward? What are some things that we missed in our last iteration of the strategic plan that could be implemented in this upcoming? So a lot of thinking, strategizing, coming together, providing feedback. So yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you're in the role, and we're definitely going to talk about Jennifer the person because I want to make sure that I love to find out about folks. But what attracted you to this work, though?
So I've been an educator for maybe about 12 or 13 years now. So I've worked in the classroom setting. I've taught many different subjects. I was a vice principal, and then I've worked in central office. And so I've done pretty much every job you could do in education. And so I was really looking to do work that was closely collaborative with the school district, and also could make impact at the community level as well. And so WEC felt like a perfect fit for that.
All right, wonderful. Yeah. All right, so what's upcoming for WEC? We talk about WUSA, that's upcoming, and WEC does have a website that folks could check out. What's the website?
WeCollaborative.org.
Okay, I love it. So check it out to find out, but we have the WUSA coming up, and what else?
So in September, we have the...
I love that. I love that because my calendar is filling up.
Yeah,
and I tell
you have to
get your dates out fast.
Absolutely,
because
you have to.
You just have to, because folks are overcommitted because it's 30 days.
Yes,
right?
That's all you have.
That's all you got.
And so the minute people go to one event, you already have to be thinking of the next. So I'm already thinking, how can I get folks who are at WUSA to make sure they reserve their seat for September? So in September, we'll be having our State of Education. That is also in our inaugural event. And that is what I noticed in my work at WEC so far and in our strategic planning is only educator folks and folks who did youth work really got it as far as what we do, who we are. Even if they knew about WEC and knew the players, they couldn't really speak to the heart, the crux of what we do. So I thought this might be a good opportunity to create a space where we just talk about the data, budget, all of the aspects of education, and really brief the community on what is happening in the education space in the city of Worcester and then in the state of Massachusetts. What are WEC's priorities based on those talking points? And then let's hear from some Worcester Public Schools folks about what their priorities are and how we'll be working together for the upcoming school year. So at the end of this school year, summer will be here, and then before you know it, it'll be State of Education. So perfect timing to talk about the new school year and where we are in education.
Absolutely. I love that you're so strategic. You're planning ahead. I mean, it's September, but it's September. It's far, but it's not.
Right.
So I love that you're planning ahead for that. And, I really love the fact that you talk about educating the community. I think, and you're a woman of faith. I know that you're a woman of faith. I'm a woman of faith. And there was this, I think, a pastor who had asked this question about churches, right?
Yeah.
And I think this could be applied to anyone. If your church closed and left the community, would anyone notice?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We talked about this.
Absolutely. Right? So for the intentional work that you do around education, I think it's very important to educate the community, because if WEX was to close its door, they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know about it, so okay then, they don't know. So, and if they did, they'll be missing, the community will be missing out on a massive resource.
Yes.
So I think educate them, we're out here fighting for you, whether you know it or not. We're still going to fight for you.
Absolutely.
And we're fighting for everyone.
Yes.
We're fighting for equity.
Yes. And we, I appreciate you saying that. That's something that, I think about that as well. It's for me, it's not enough for me to feel like I'm making an impact. This is why we host our equity roundtables each month, for example, because I need the data from the community to say, oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Or, what does that have to do with your mission and strategic plan? Like I need to hear from the community, even to the level of, I know that there are conversations around access to transportation, for example. That was a big conversation right when I came into this role. And so it's like, okay, even at that level, how can I make sure that WEC makes our presence known and puts our stamp on that to say, how can I advocate for you? What do you need to know? What can I do? Do I need to help make sure your street is part of the bus route, or whatever we can do. So all of the things, the out of school time factors that make up a child's ability to show up and learn and be ready to learn is what we're here for.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. I think it's so important because I think, whether it's social media, and social media has its pros and its cons, right, or whatever it is, I think people want to know the services and the things that, because we know that it's not just the public school teachers and it's not just the thing. I mean, we from here in the city where we have organizations like WEC and the public school teachers and the senators and your city leaders and all of that like fighting or advocating, it's very, very important, I believe, to get involved because everything impacts us.
Absolutely.
Everything impacts us.
Absolutely. And I think a conversation I am always having in the community is policy and advocacy may feel like this high level conversation that you may feel like is not for you. But when you're left out of the conversation or when you don't invest time and resources into being part of the conversation, that's how decisions get made without you in mind. And so I try to frame it in that way so people recognize, like, in some cases, it's actually meant to feel like too much for the average everyday person to be involved with, because then it's less perspectives you have to consider when you go to pass that legislation. So
no, absolutely. And I think it's important. Like when people say like politics does impact me, no, it absolutely
directly.
Like,
directly.
I am a woman, so I absolutely want to be involved in the policies that impact me because Roe versus Wade, my reproductive rights, and all of these things. Like I want to be a part of that conversation, but it's like, you're right. They make it seem like it's so high level, but if it impacts me, like I want somebody making the decision, even like with the Crown Act, right?
Yeah.
I don't want somebody who doesn't know what it means to have my hair.
Yes.
Making the decision to say, well, it's not professional.
Yes.
Like he's like,
yep. Yeah.
So there we go.
There's so many things. And to your point, right? Even what seems like a small example of how you wear your natural hair.
Yes.
That policy informs whether or not girls with your hair texture can come into school and feel ready to learn.
Absolutely.
Or are they spending the day feeling self-conscious, experiencing microaggressions because what's that on your head? Like that's all of it matters. All of it matters.
No, absolutely. So every small ripple, is better for the big and the overall impact. Well, thank you so much for sharing who WEC is and what you do. We're so glad that you're in the role. Can't wait to celebrate, the 1 year anniversary, our work anniversary.
Yes. Thank you.
You've certainly made some impact and some strides in the community since you've taken over the role. And shout out to Jen Carey, who was fantastic.
Yes.
In the role and is a whole artiste, FYI.
Absolutely. And we still keep in touch. She's still very supportive and supporting me through in the background. So
no, absolutely.
I'm so
but great job. And, loving her passing the mantle to another phenomenal woman who's out here doing the thing. So thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing about WAC. But I want to talk a little bit about, Jennifer, because you talk about like being a principal and I'm like trying to picture you as the vice principal.
Oh gosh, those were some days.
Those were some days. Those were some days.
Yes.
I can imagine.
I will tell you, I had to become a little kid again.
Yeah.
Now I had this personal philosophy. I can say it now. I only wanted to stay in elementary school simply because of the height of the children in elementary school. I'm like, do not have me trying to be the boss of these kids that are 10 times my size.
Yes.
So the kids, they respected me because I was taller than them.
Yes.
So, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
I loved it. I mean, listen, so my daughter's pretty tall. Like I said, she's like my height and she was 12, right?
Yeah.
So we went to some game and like I saw these boys and I'm like, there's no way these kids are middle schoolers. Like they were giants.
It's scary.
Yeah.
They are so tall. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I don't have that problem, but
Could you imagine? Could you imagine people being like, "This is the new building leader," and everyone's looking around, and then they look down. It's like, "Oh, it's her." I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
That bad.
That's how I feel. I'm like, "Oh, good thing I'm working with little kids."
It's not that bad. I think you'll be fine. I'm sure they helped you, but yes,
yeah.
I don't like looking up, so I get it. But it's not that bad. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, but when you were, I mean, obviously you're a PhD, you're a doctor. So obviously you must have been focused on education
Yes,
to, you know, to
definitely.
come that route. And believe me, I know a Black mama.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, but when you were younger, was this what you thought you were going to be doing in education, or was that a call-in, or?
No, actually, you know what's so funny? When I was younger, oh my gosh, I was like teaching Sunday school at like middle school.
Oh.
Like we would do these things where like my Sunday school teachers would give us a chance to teach.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, and like we'd all take turns. And I think I had the most turns out of everyone. Like
Oh, wow.
I just loved it. I loved it.
Okay.
But I never, like my parents would be like, oh my gosh, you would be such a good teacher.
Mm.
And then I'd be like, oh no, like I'm not teaching.
Mm.
But then as I grew up and like just had like more experiences, especially like my passion that, you know, I kind of ended up developing, I guess, of like trauma and like learning. I was like, oh, I think I could do it.
Yeah.
I think I can do it. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And I love kids.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so
Okay,
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
I want to make sure you get an opportunity because, you know, a lot of folks ask, no, the tea is real.
I thought it was just a little, you know,
so I
a
get
cute little
questions all the time.
display.
They're like, oh my God, your tea set's so cute. It is actual tea if you've
Is there
ever been
sugar
on
in
the
it?
show. So you have a spoon. Is there no more sugar?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a spoon, so there's actual water, and there's creamer, and there's sugar. It's sipping tea with Suzanne, so we're authentic.
We're actually sipping tea.
Like we are
this.
actually sipping tea, and in the summer last year we did go to iced tea because girl, it got hot in the studio.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm gonna come back just for some iced tea.
Like just for some iced tea,
some
right?
Sweet tea,
like some sweet tea, right? But no, I want to give you an opportunity to sip your tea. But I love the fact that you were teaching when you were in middle school, and I imagine you were a whole lot tinier. So,
very tiny.
So
Yes.
that must have been lovely. But you know, what you know compelled you to continue to pursue education? You know, because again, even though you want to be a teacher, you can become a teacher without being the level that you're at.
I think for me, I really liked working with kids. And most of my childhood was church, right?
Yeah.
So like I was like leading youth group with my friends, and we were planning trips and special events and conferences. And so I don't know, my mind started to develop into like I was always thinking about things from the perspective of would kids enjoy this. And so then when I did some youth related work in nonprofit before WEC, but then after a while when I started my doctoral studies and I was reading research about they called it the achievement gap at the time. Now it's the opportunity gap. But I just became so interested in like, oh my goodness, I can make so much impact as a teacher. And then once I decided to teach, then all of my relatives and my mom were like, yeah, we've been telling you that you'd be good at this. And so I was like, and when I started teaching in the classroom, it just felt like, it just felt so right.
Good.
So yeah.
Good,
yeah.
wonderful. So I understand that you've written a book.
I have written a book.
Yes. So let's talk about the book. What is the name of the book? What is the book about?
So the title of the book is Sexual Trauma in Educational Settings. And it's published by Routledge. It's an academic research entity. And it's based on my dissertation. It is a text that is based on my interviews from my research studies in fulfillment of my doctorate. And so I interviewed over 20 women to talk about their school experiences and what it was like navigating the school systems after having survived sexual trauma. What I didn't know until after, when I was doing my data analysis, was that 100% of my participants said that when it came to being a student, they felt like their identity as a woman, as Jewish, as African American, that was intertwined with being a survivor of sexual trauma because the trauma happened as young as like 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So in my mind, I think for me, and I had shared in Black in Business that I myself am a survivor. In my mind, I started recognizing what was happening to me when I was like 13, but it started when I was like 7. And so I guess when I was doing my research and I was kind of like just immersed in the process itself, I think subconsciously I was assuming that my participants would be able to identify, like, it happened at this age, it happened at this date, it was this boy, but then, or this woman. But then I thought about it, and they all pretty much reported that they don't even remember when it started because they've always been abused.
Oh my!
Either it was a parent, a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle, or like an older sibling or cousin. And you know, the misconception is that it's always a stranger while you're walking down the alley. That does happen, but when it comes to unfortunate things like that happen to children, it's always with a trusted adult.
It is, yeah.
You know, mine was. So so that was an eye-opener for me. But my goal, aside from the obvious that people will, you know, buy it and engage with the content, is that it will be utilized in higher education spaces, because that's really, like, professionally outside of classroom teaching and, you know, district work, that's really where that change and that impact can be made at higher ed institutions, thinking about how do we develop professionals, whether it be folks in schools of education. I teach intro to psych and trauma at Leslie and Fisher College. And so, like, how do we get students that are already thinking about their career and thinking about going a little deeper into their craft to get them to start developing some programs and intentionality around literature and research around trauma, because it's everywhere, you know, so.
No, absolutely. And, you know, so where can we find the book?
So you can find the book wherever books are sold. You can find it on taylorandfrancis.com, which is the hub for Rutledge Research. You can find it on Amazon, books, Barnes and Nobles. It's everywhere books are sold.
All right.
Yeah.
So I do marketing. I dabble.
You don't say.
I dabble. How are you marketing this? Because, you know, the thing is, you know, you talk about it, and, you know, and thank you for sharing. And I know you shared it on Black in Business about your personal experience.
Yeah.
But there is so many women, when you look at the statistics, there's so many women that have sexual trauma, right? And, you know, you talk about the myth where it's a stranger. And, you know, I think, sadly, most of the time when sexual trauma happens with a stranger, it's like a one-time violent act, right?
Yes.
But the consistent, the prolonged violent violation happens with a trusted family member. And, you know, sometimes they're forced to believe that it's their fault. They can't report it, or they're reported, and, you know, it's believed. They're not believed.
Absolutely.
Which is even another type of trauma to recover from. So, you know, how are we getting this out there?
Oh, that's a good question. So if I had more hours in the day, what I would do is I would create a platform where we could have conversations like this more consistently. And I would break down, kind of breaking it down to like the everyday layman's terms level. For the audience, and just have opportunities to convene and talk about it in person, small scale events, large scale events. And of course, like the typical, like pushing on social media. If I had just a few more hours in my day, that's what I would do. But I, of course, like in my day-to-day interactions, when I go to, you know, women's networking events, I know we have some things happening in the city over the next few weeks, actually. I always try my best to let people know, like, this is who I am, this is what I do. And it's funny because when it does come up, people are like, oh my gosh, let's talk more about it. And it's so surprising and so sad to see how many women have gone through it and are actually like looking for this kind of work. So
absolutely. So there's no more hours in the day. And work takes up a lot of your time.
It does.
And I think this is so important.
Yes.
How can you start on a small scale? Like,
that's a good question.
How can I help you?
I think I need to be more intentional about creating content on social media. Instagram, 2 minutes. YouTube,
Okay.
10 minutes. Something, something digestible. And just, keep going from there.
So we'll talk after the show.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get it started.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're going to get it started. We're going to get a deadline because I think that it's important. And, there's folks that are going through it right now that are like feeling so alone and thinking they're alone.
Yes, yes.
So we have to start having the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm not sure why I'm coughing. Excuse me for a second.
No, take your time.
Yeah. Did you have a book launch?
I did. Before I joined WEC, I had something.
In Worcester?
It was in Framingham, actually. It was
Girl.
like maybe 2 years ago. Should I do it here?
Yes!
Let's do it here. Let's do it.
Let's do it here.
Let's do it.
I mean,
I know the girlies are looking for an opportunity to come out in spring weather, wear something nice. We should do it.
Like, we're ready to show off these pedicures.
right. Yep,
these manicures. Like, let's think about it.
I would love that. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. I'm totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm percolating.
Well, the other thing too, when it's a little, I try not to, the work of WEC is about our students and not about me or any of our staff or our partners. And so one thing, if I can at least make a connection between my book and the work we're doing at WEC, anytime that a woman or anyone, person of color, anyone takes the time to invest and create a work of art, a book, a blog, a news, anything that requires reading and literacy, I think it should be celebrated. Because one of the things that I noticed is that in our conversations with students about reading and literacy, there are kids that like to read. My kids love reading. And at the same time, at a certain age, you have to be really strategic and how you communicate the love of reading and the importance of literacy. And if people can't relate to the author behind the words and to the content, it's kind of like, good luck, So that's one thing that not just myself as an author, but, anyone else in the city that's doing great work and producing great content, I am all about it because our students in Worcester need to see, it's not just about you reading now, it's about look what it can do for you in the future.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. I think, oh my goodness, if I didn't have this tickle in my throat,
you would scream.
No, I would bust out in Whitney Houston. I believe the children are our future, right?
Yes. It's so true.
Yes.
It's true.
No, it is. And we talk about the youth, but honestly, they truly are. I do think the kids going to be all right because I think that they have done so many things that I can respect and appreciate about, the generation. And honestly, they have a little more trauma than they should.
Yes.
But, I love how they got boundaries. They were like, no, they will let you know. They
will tell you they are not their ancestors.
Yes. So
don't get it twisted.
I have a problem with that. I do have a problem with that phrase. Here's my thing. We're not the ancestors. And whenever a youth says it to me, I use it as an educational moment. And my daughter who's watching right now, they're like, oh my God, Mom, sometimes it's a joke. It's not a lesson, but it is.
Right.
I'm a parent first. I think when they say we're not our ancestors, it takes away from what they did because they were born into it, right? And they fought and many died and blood was shed and they built this land and so many inventions that they're like, oh, was done by a black man. But a lot of, they were not considered human. So they were considered 3/5 of a human being, right? So a lot of the inventions that we see, we don't know. I 100% believe that a lot of them were done by black folks that, they just didn't get the credit for it because they weren't recognized. We look at, the mathematician, we look at the traffic lights, we look at all these things that they have created under circumstances that we're not used to. Like our kids are born knowing that they're a full human. They're born with rights. I mean, somebody's trying to take it away right now.
No comment. No
exactly.
Comment.
Right? They're born, I say to my daughter, she'll say sometimes, oh my God, I have such a tough life. And I'm like, talk to me about your tough life from your room, with a car, with a computer, with a laptop, with all these things. So I think we have learned from the ancestors. I'm sure they would have chosen a different life, but if they did what they did with what they were born into, you better believe
Yes.
we respect them.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
put some respect on their name.
Absolutely.
So that phrase, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, because they died. Some chose the sea before coming over. Some, like I said, they endured sexual abuse, verbal abuse, all these things. Their kids ripped from them, all of that. They fought. They had the Underground Railroad. They didn't sit on the bus. They had boycotts and all of this. So I 100% respect our ancestors. What I think every generation should be better than the last and learn from what they did and build on that.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we were, as a generation, we were taught to be grateful for things, right?
Yep, yep.
This generation, like, you speak to me wrong. You raise your tone. I'm out. So
that's true.
I respect that as an employer at the time. That might have drove me crazy, but
yeah.
So I like youth. I genuinely respect a lot of the skill sets that you have. I do believe that we do have to get back to the point where we do respect our elders, and our elders, because they have a lot to teach us, and our elders also have to respect. So I think respect is a two-way street. So I know I went on a soapbox, but that's just
okay.
That's how I feel about that phrase.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's true.
That's
it's
it. But I think there's value to what they could give us, and
absolutely.
they truly are our future. I think what they've been able to do, like how they're born, like just brilliant. You could give a 4-year-old a phone and they like girl.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
So I think there's certainly there's a lot that we can learn from them, but there's also a lot that they can learn from us.
I think so. And so in thinking about that phrase, what comes to mind for me is, and maybe this is just how I was taught about, because I grew up around folks who were involved in civil rights activism. And I don't know, maybe this is just how I internalized it, but there's an element that when we talk about Dr. King's philosophy around peaceful protest and, peaceful advocacy. For me, I'm like, okay, that's a little passive. I mean, I get it. But at the time, I think it's good that folks from this generation were not in that generation doing the work, because we would have just, I would have been in trouble a lot. I would, because I will say it. If something is unjust, I will say it. And so for me, or at least in the context that I've heard,
but
in the
it's
context
how you interpret it, right?
I've heard people say it is more so like, I'm not going to take things lying down, like I will be respectful, but I'm not a peaceful protester.
Yeah.
Which, there's value in both
no, absolutely. But I respect your point.
But,
like, and that's how you interpret it, but how, and I think, but that's a great thing about, right?
Yeah.
Just because we're two brilliant Black women, you notice I threw that in there, right?
right.
Doesn't mean we are the same.
Yeah,
I think we share the same values and believe in human decency, but we interpret it different. We're both women of faith, but the scripture is interpreted different for every single person, because each time we read a scripture, we should get a different understanding, right? So that's how I feel about phrases sometimes. And things that don't drive folks crazy sometimes will drive the other person. Like the other person crazy. So, we talked about the book, and we talked about the fact that we're going to chat after the camera stopped rolling, because I would love to see that book out there. And in my mind, there's two individuals that I would love to connect you with.
Oh, I would love that.
That, I think that it would warrant a conversation, because I think that in that space, it can be isolating. And, folks are struggling so much.
Yes. And there's stigma behind it, right?
Yeah.
We're taught, at least for me, culturally, it was not always. I think, okay, speaking of difference in generation, trauma, I feel like everyone says they have trauma. Not that they don't, but it's there's a fine line. There's trauma, and then there's traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
And I think, like, now culturally, when you look at social media, even when I hear youth talk about like just their own personal challenges, it's always like, these are my triggers. This is what I went through. And people are so vocal and bold about that. I didn't grow up like that.
I did not.
I grew up like, don't say anything. And unfortunately, and there's research to back this too, many women of color are now experiencing autoimmune disease because we're holding so much trauma and so much just junk from our childhoods, and it's locked into our bodies because we've never had an outlet to express it. And as cool, calm, and collected as we would like to think we are, our bodies keep score, to quote Bassel van der Kolk, right? And so our bodies know when something, like I, had a really extreme health issue during the pandemic, not COVID. I did end up contracting COVID, but I was asymptomatic. But I was like, whoa, this came out of left field. I'm like, I've always been healthy. And then I started to do some research about autoimmune disease. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is more common than I realized. But it's like the stress that your body carries over a period of time. It's like, okay, how do we create, for me, when I was writing my book, I'm like, okay, how do we create literature that helps foster safety and security in our physical space, in our interpersonal relationships, and in our minds and our bodies? And how do we continue to be intentional about our healing constantly, you know? And so I think it's an important conversation to have. And I think even youth are ready to have it. So yeah, I'm excited.
And I agree. I think we should have it. And I don't think we knew about it. Like, you know, I have Caribbean parents, and it's like even asking a question about something is talking back, right? And so while I give value to how they raised us to respect our elders, on the other hand, if like questioning something they say, like you're being disrespectful and things like that. So, and that's not healthy. And I struggle with this right now with like the adults in my life that, you know, Caribbean descent, you know, it's like, and I'm Caribbean, but like if you say something to them, like, you know, oh my goodness, like you're being disrespectful. And I said, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm genuinely asking you, do you think it's okay to treat somebody like that? Like, you know, like we have to be willing to have these conversations, and folks don't like to have tough conversations, but our youths, and luckily they've shown us that they're equipped. We have to have the conversation, right? That triggers and boundaries, girl. I imagine tell my father that, girl.
Listen, I'm still afraid of my mom. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm still afraid of my mom. I respect her, love her.
I respect, but
I hope that's her.
Like, I'm like, listen, my father, Edward Graham, like me saying to him, like, Dad, that is a trigger word for me. So let me ask you, if when you say that to him though, does he like, how does he respond? Oh no, I can't.
Oh, he doesn't. Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying I can't imagine saying that to my father.
Okay.
God, no.
I thought you meant now you can.
No,
that's like culturally that's like
no, it's not a thing. So unfortunately, my dad passed away a few years ago, but I can't wrap my mind around like saying that to him. Like I can't. I'm a grown woman. Like I just can't. It's just not the generation's not gonna accept it. Like just I don't even bother. Like I wouldn't even bother.
I mean, I think my mom is super old school.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think I always joke that she kind of grew up with us. Like she always tells us like, you know, growing up, like when she first came to the States, she would always say, I would be like, you know, I'd just ask her random questions when I was a kid. I'm like, your first language is French, Haitian Creole. How did you learn English? She's like, I'm just listening to you and your siblings speak. I was like, no, you did not. She's like, yeah, that's how I learned. Like, you know, so in that sense, I'm like, okay, I kind of feel like she kind of grew up with us. And so like every now and then, like, you know, my sister and I will be having a conversation. She's like, yeah, I actually agree. That's toxic. And I'm like, she said the word toxic. Like I'm like, okay, she's growth. Yes.
Growth. I love that for her.
Not to mention, when I watch her with my kids, I'm like, where was this version of you
when
I was a kid? We're
going to rewind. Mothers and grandmothers are two different people.
Yes. They switch up.
They do. So I hear, like, it was this black guy was following. He was like, listen, my mother is not my kid's grandmother.
No.
But it's like, that's just an old woman trying to get into heaven.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, this is like vegetables. No, I'm like, so we're just going to just pump them with ice cream the whole time. Like
the first, these grandparents like are different.
They're built different.
Like,
they're definitely built different.
Like, cause I know my mom, like with certain things, I remember like, I got beat as a kid, right? And I was fully grown, taller than my mom. My mom is yay high. And still beat me. And I remember like once, like when I had my daughter and like my daughter was crying, she's like, oh, what's wrong? Did mommy yell at you? Do you want a cookie?
Right. And you're still processing your trauma.
Like, I was like, Mom.
Yes.
Like, I got beat for crying.
Right. But you know what they say? They say if your parents raised you right, they raise you right so that they can spoil your children. But if they don't raise you right, then they'll have to raise your children.
Oh,
that's what I heard.
I'm gonna go with that.
That's my last parable for the day. My last proverb.
We're done with that. I get it. But Listen, my
Yes,
mama, like, I
yes.
swear, like, every time my kids go to the house, like, I don't get anything. They get cookies, they get
Everything.
soda, they
All
get
the things.
candy, they get all the things. And it was
Yes.
like, oh, do you want paper towels? No, Mom. I
I
want a candy.
Where's the cake you were supposed to make me? Yes,
She's
it's
like,
so true.
oh my God. She's
It's
like,
so true.
oh, she loves this. I was like, no, Mom, I love this.
I love it.
Like,
And she's not allowed to have this. What are you doing?
I know.
It's too funny.
I just
Too funny.
But
Have you ever
parents,
gone?
we love you.
Yes, we love you. Have you ever gone to your mom's, right? And she's like cooking, and you're thinking like it's for you, and she's like, don't touch that. That's for the babies. That's for your kids, not you. Your kid. Your kids.
And the husband. Like,
Yes, true.
Like,
true.
yeah, she sends like a whole special dish for him.
What about me? That's so
I
true.
think we need to have a whole session about this.
We do.
Like,
We do.
mothers and grandmothers, how they're two different people. Because
yes, split personalities. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
I
do
know.
not recognize this woman.
Listen, my mom has never yelled at my kids.
Ever.
Ever. No, ever.
Yes. As a matter of fact, if we yell at them, we're in trouble.
I know.
Yep.
So, all right,
Yep.
we're gonna reel it back in.
Let's reel back in.
We out here. We out here knowing our parents are gonna be calling us after.
Yes,
so
I know, right?
we love you, mommy.
Love you, Mom.
But no, well, listen, we're going to talk about the book. We talked about the book, how to get the book. We're going to figure out how to do a launch in Worcester.
Yes.
Because, I mean, if
Yes.
it didn't happen in the did it really happen?
Right, that's true. Good point. Love it.
I'm just saying, we're going to do
Love
this.
it.
Worcester is on the map. So
Yes.
we're going to do the thing. And, you know, we're going to make sure that you're on social media. And I really do appreciate the fact that you talk about, like, the work that you do as WEC, Executive Director, and then the book. But I think we also have to recognize, and I think, you know, as women, there's a lot that we do and a lot of who we are. We're wives, we're moms,
Yeah.
and some are not moms, and, you know, and that's certainly their choice.
Yeah.
But we have full-time jobs
Yes.
that, you know, pays the bills and that we love.
Yeah.
Great work.
Yeah.
But then there's also a different part of us. Like you know,
Sure.
we have all the things, you know, you're an author, you wrote a book and things like that. And I think
Yeah.
you all exist in this beautiful package.
Yeah.
So I think we should be able to separate it. And sometimes they're going to overlap because, you know, you're into education and then there's sexual trauma. And I think they do connect because we know that sexual trauma can shape how somebody operates in school, right? How they learn. We certainly have stories, you know, folks that are their works is great in straight A's. I actually just started reading a book and it was like great, and then the book their work declined and things like that because they were being abused and things like that.
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
know
yeah.
that it's connected, but we've got to figure out a way to get that message out there too. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love that.
like
I
we're
would
gonna do
love
that. We're gonna do the
Mhm.
thing. We're gonna do the thing.
Let's
so.
do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I want to talk about, you know, we've talked about the work and the book and all that. So let's talk about how you self-care, because you're a busy girl.
Oh, yes. How do I self-care? So the first thing that I do is I like to make sure that I talked earlier about my our physical environment and how that can be a space of healing. And so I'm very intentional about my home, for example. I like the lighting a certain way,
Okay.
certain colors. I love like soft pastel colors. They like give like a relaxing feel. The walls in my home are like a soft blue. And so those are like cooling colors. And so it's easier to relax when you're looking at shades of blue. So things like that, I like to kind of psychologize myself in my physical space to like force my brain to power down, because on days where I'm going constantly, I think you would think that the later you work, the easier, the later you work into the day, the easier it is to decompress at night.
No.
But I'm actually like more wired when I work, come home from a late day, because it's like my brain hasn't stopped running. And so I always try to be intentional about that. You know, I spend time with my family, my husband, my kids, and my extended family, my siblings, and, you know, just try to make sure I surround myself with joy and positivity and all of that. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. It's good to hear that, because we got to take care of ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
You talked a little earlier about, you know, internalizing things and how it shows up in other ways. And, you know, I'm not saying folks need to be out here, like just spewing all over the place, but we've got to make sure that we're having
Definitely.
intentional conversation about
Mhm.
folks that are disrespecting us. I have found that there is, and I won't even say it's a movement because it's been so long
Yeah.
that so many different individuals believe it's their right to humble a black woman.
Mm.
And as a black woman, I've experienced that a lot.
Mm.
And, when I worked in corporate retail, I went through a lot of times where even though I knew my worth and I knew the value that I brought to the table, like just the spaces, it just wasn't a thing that I could do
Yeah.
in terms of just the way you're overlooked for a promotion, just the way I was underpaid, just the
Mhm.
way folks felt like they had the right to speak to me.
Yeah.
So I had to, like cautious reminders like, hey, things like that. But I found that I didn't have as many conversations as I should have
Yeah.
because it just wasn't the culture. And in
Mm.
those days, you lost a job really quickly because I was the first in the role. I was the
Oh.
only in the role, and I wasn't the last though.
Oh,
And let
wow.
me tell
Wow.
you, when
Good.
you walk into that space, before I started, it was just like, Barack Obama with all the presidents, right? Like your
Mm.
picture of Barack and
Right.
that's
Right.
it. But then when I was
Wow.
done, it was looking like a HBCU party. Like,
Wow. Wow.
so, there were times like I felt like I had to stay in the space. I
Mhm.
had to make the sacrifice so that others that look like me could come in and I could see if I could change the culture. And while I wasn't able to change the culture for the overall organization, like the space that I occupied, the space that I worked in, I
Yeah.
felt that I was able to impact the culture and how I treated everybody that worked there. So, not now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you now,
Yeah.
but again, I think things have shifted a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
But I had to learn that, like, even if I'm not saying it to the ones that are causing harm, I got to figure out a way for the outlet
Yeah.
because I don't owe them my health.
Yes.
So.
And the health is most important. And what you're making me think of, going back to the ancestor conversation briefly, one difference that I see generationally between us and prior generations is there is a there is a commitment to
Mhm.
thinking about future generations
Mhm.
that I don't necessarily see in our generation. I'm not saying it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
but when I think about my own endurance in hard situations, I
Mhm.
think about like elders in my church, for example, or people in my family that I know that have like been the first to open doors for others. Like I think about like for me, this situation might be hard, and the longer I endure and navigate this in a healthy way, I'm paving the way for people to come behind me.
Yeah.
And that's a balance that I hold every day because I don't want to,
Mm.
I don't want to perpetuate harm on
Mm.
myself. But at the same time, I do come from a culture that is centered in the greater good. Like
Girl.
it's not just about you. So
No.
like how do you balance going through and making your mark, but then also thinking, well, somebody in some sense has
Mm.
to go through the first iteration of
Mhm.
acclimating our environments to diversity
Mhm.
and equity before others can come in and it could be more easily
Mhm.
accessed for them. Because like us, the positions we're in, I think I shared this in one of our Black History posts. We can be in roles like these because of our elders and ancestors,
Because
right?
of
So
what
we
they
have
went
to,
through. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what you're making me think of, and I think it's so ironic that once you were no longer there,
Mm.
that's when it started to diversify. So
Mm.
it's like even if you had to separate, I wonder what of your experience
Mm.
stayed with them and like might have shifted the culture and even the mindset in that
Mm.
space. So
No, I mean, listen, I was intentional. I ensured that, my team represented the demographic. Like I worked
mm-hmm.
retail for over 20 years. I remember at one
Yeah.
point, like I had a store in Framingham and it was a large Brazilian population. So I had
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of folks, because folks came in the store. That time we didn't have Google Translate, come in the store and they're
Ah,
speaking Portuguese. I have no idea. So instead of me saying, oh my God, learn English, mine was just like, how do I
Yeah.
make sure that I help these customers? So I hired Portuguese speaking individuals, right? And that they
Yeah.
see themselves, in the stores when they come in like that. But there's just
Love
so
it.
much
Love it.
work
Yeah.
that can happen. And, I'm grateful for the spaces that I'm in. I'm grateful for the opportunities that,
Mhm.
have come my way. But I just, you and I both know that these opportunities weren't handed to us. We had to
Yes.
work
Yeah.
hard and work
Yeah. Yeah.
twice as
Yeah.
hard.
Definitely.
And, when we're in these roles, we, hey, we're thinking of the future, but you are absolutely correct. We have to be mindful about taking
Mhm.
care of ourselves just to
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't show up in other ways, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Absolutely.
all right, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I know my producer is going to be looking at me soon and saying that we're running out of time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I know him well.
Right. Right.
And yeah, so let's talk vacation because I always love to talk vacation.
Oh
Like
yes.
any places that's on your bucket list that you're looking to visit one day?
Oh, I want to go everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So
Top place, number one.
top. Oh gosh, I can't pick one.
I know. It's hard, girl.
I don't know. People say it's overrated, but France.
Okay. I literally was thinking that, but go on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
Well,
want to go. I don't care.
So my family's from Haiti.
Yeah.
And so we have, we've had family in Canada, Haiti,
Yeah.
not so much France, although I have family that was educated in Paris, but in
Yeah.
France. But so I'm working on teaching my kids Spanish and French.
Wow.
Because I'm multilingual and
Yes.
I believe in it. And
100%.
the more generations that are born and raised in the states, the less likely they are to speak second and third language. So I try to be really intentional about that in my house.
Yeah.
So any places where Spanish or French are the dominant language, that's where I want to
All
go.
right, I love that.
That's where I want to go.
Listen,
And take the kids so they
No,
can practice their
absolutely.
languages. Yeah.
No, absolutely. No, take the kids. I would love to eat croissant and sip tea.
Yeah.
It's going to happen,
I can
girl.
see you doing
Like,
it.
listen, I believe I was born for the luxury life.
Yes,
so.
yes. I can see. I can see.
Yes, darling. So absolutely, we'll go there. And then, apart from your great book, any books that you're reading lately? Do you have time to read, or do you read? Like,
Oh, I wish.
yeah,
Yes.
no time to read.
I
right?
wish. No, I try. I
Yeah.
try. I mean, right now, my biggest thing, I'm into like policy.
Okay.
I'm into the political conversations.
Yes.
I'm reading what's going on,
Okay.
in Capitol Hill, what's going on in, Department of Education. I mean,
Yes.
that's technically
Those
work.
are lengthy.
Technically,
lengthy
it's work
tomes.
reading.
Yes, it is.
But I eat it. I love it.
If
I love
you
it.
love it,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine. No, and listen, it's like setting the table, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever I set the table. So like for breakfast for Easter, I go and I set the table. It takes me like an hour because I like playing and that, and I'm like, my friend's like, oh my god, it's so much work.
Yeah.
But like I feel so good to
Yes.
like sit there. So it's like so some people it's a lot of work, but
Yes.
for me it was pleasure. So
Yes.
for you,
Definitely.
it's reading about policy. Like yay, no.
Not yet. You
Not
don't feel
yet.
that way yet.
Not yet. But if you enjoy it,
Yeah.
and because you're expanding your mind, and yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
ties into your work, but you find it fascinating.
Yes. Yes.
I work for QCC. I work in alumni association, and I do read a lot of articles about engagement and how you engage
Yeah.
with others and maintain engagement and things like that. And how do you
Mhm.
get buy-in to
Yeah.
people to say
Yes.
like I want to stay connected to this, like because I mean sadly we are an individualistic society where
Yes.
the focus is on you. So it's a lot of times like, what do I get out of this?
Right.
So,
Right.
like just
That's
get
true.
people to think collectively like, how can I make this better for others?
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
where we want to go.
Yeah.
Well, it
Love
has
it.
been such a pleasure chatting with
Thank you for having me.
No, I appreciated killing it over at WEC. Looking forward to the book launch with the book and different things, and looking you showing up on social media,
Yes.
not only for WEC but also for Jennifer.
Yes.
And yes, and just doing all the things. I think it's an exciting year ahead for you, and we're just so glad that you chose Worcester.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, listen, thank you all for tuning in. I had such a great conversation, and there's just so many good things. And I think what people don't understand sometimes, like she it's education, right? And the book that she wrote about it's sexual trauma, but there is still joy to be found in whatever we do and everything we do. So thank
Yes.
you all for tuning in. Week after week. I appreciate you on Facebook and on Positive Vibes Studio. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Positive Vibes Studio. Shout out to our executive producer, Paul Anderson, for making the magic happen. And as always, I am so grateful for our phenomenal guests. And until next time, this is Suzanne and
Jennifer Herring.
ta ta.
Thank you.
PhD.
Bye.